Well-being, right. So we've talked a lot about the climate, and we see this as driven by the climate around people taking more personal ownership on their well-being. There's a lot more care involved, and I think people really expect their employers, as we were saying, to care more and to support them. This on the left-hand side is our parts of our own research. So we've seen that the increase of wellbeing up by 5 places to be the second spot of priority. But what we've seen over the years is wellbeing trending downwards over the years. And I think what this has alluded to as well is sometimes at the moment people are more cognizant of their wellbeing, but also more willing to share with their employer when they're struggling. So I do think there's a little bit of a false
the link there, isn't it?
Yeah, because people are becoming more honest. We see this in engagement quite often.
Yeah.
For quite a while, people may feel that they've got great scores, but once people start telling the truth, it may differ a while. But with wellbeing, I think people are more happy to be themselves at work, stand up for who they are, and share that.
I think I look at this positively in terms of sort of employees are expecting us to do more in terms of helping with their well-being. They're less satisfied in terms of their answers in our surveys, in terms of some of these answers. We ask them to rate their mental health, for example.
Yeah.
That's where those declining scores really signpost for us. We want to focus more on that. And we've seen this year HR well-being shift up to their second top priorities, whereas some of the other trends in the research for me feels like there's a risk of focus too much in the short term.
Yes.
This feels like a really positive step going forward. So something which we're going to do a deep dive on in the coming weeks and months.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's also just being mindful, though, that we're not focusing on wellbeing for the short term to get the return on investment. So some of the headlines we showed you at the start of the webinar about us losing days in terms of sickness through BBC for that headline. I think it's a really bad headline, poorly written by BBC, but almost damaging, that trust in the employees to do what they need to do. But I think what's great to see is that there's a wealth of information and support on employee wellbeing, and this is just from the CIPD. Everybody knows, but in terms of the benefits of employee wellbeing, we see it all, but it's important to link them all through as well. And this is what I was alluding to earlier around financial wellbeing. You can't just see in isolation. You have to think about how it affects everything, and that's the same with good lifestyle choices, social time. Isolation is one of the most brutal killers around in the UK, at least. And thinking about how we overcome those things, making sure we've got growth, the right values and principles for people, they're taking part in work that they see is good and fulfilling for them, and that their health is kept front of mind. It is very easy to burn yourself out. So by us prioritising employee wellbeing, role modelling it in the right way as leaders, I think we'll come to more positive outcomes, not just for our people, but for business as well.